You didn't sacrifice one for Eid?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't actually.
Sacrifice as if it's something Muslims only do. Like someone mentioned the other day, European or Americans in this instance will be up in arms about Muslims sacrificing a cow or a goat or whatever for Eid, but on Christmas or Thanksgiving they slaughter thousands of turkeys.
Exactly.
Think about it. But it's this word sacrifice, and as I understand it, it's the animal that is being sacrificed or sacrificing its life so you can eat it.
Yeah, but exactly. I was about to say, hang on a minute. We're not killing it and then just burying it or just leaving it out for the birds to eat.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's going to be distributed to poor people.
Yeah.
It's not going on it's not like on a Christmas table where you kill the turkey and something like half of it gets thrown in the bin on Christmas. Disgusting.
Is, turkey curry. The day after that, turkey sandwiches.
Yeah, but still a lot waste.
The day after that is in the bin.
Yeah, right. It's not like that. The meat is getting distributed, and it's really bad to waste meat. You're not supposed to waste food. You should appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I think people just need to
equally
work with people
from the Muslim. I was at the human animal rights protest the other day, and there was a lot of vegans there. You will find a lot of Muslims will say, no, we're not allowed to be vegan. We have meat in our religion. We have halal meat. Halal just means you're allowed to have it.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you should have it or you must have it.
That's right.
As I understand it, there's a hadith that said, I saw paraphrasing, I saw the Prophet's house.
It's a sin not to eat.
Yeah, it's sin not to eat, but he would go months without eating meat. He had the aswadain, the water and dates, and he survived on that for many months. He didn't always have meat. Meat was a privilege or a special thing to eat.
And according to the Injil, when the Israelites came out of captivity in Egypt, they ate manna from heaven.
Right.
For don't quote me on this, many years.
Yeah, okay.
I can't remember how many years they ate manna. And you don't have to eat meat. And I'm sure in the Injil, the Bible, they talk about eating locusts with honey.
Okay.
So who's to say you have to eat meat? There is a lot of, it's a sin not to eat because that's a form of suicide. And that's wrong. But there's nothing to say that you have to eat meat. I don't see nothing wrong with being vegetarian. I'm even considering it myself, believe it or not. My planning for 2019 is to only eat game.
Right.
And to come off of commercial meat.
Would that be game you hunted yourself?
Game I hunt myself, or I would actually, buy it from a shop.
Okay.
If I haven't got it in, my freezer's full of game at the moment, but I will buy it in if I can't
get
it myself.
You mean what, venison?
Venison, deer? Venison, being deer, and pheasant and rabbit.
And these meats are not intensely farmed.
They're not farmed at all. They're in my garden.
They're not pumped full of hormones to make them bigger. I saw images of chickens throughout the last few decades. They've got bigger and bigger, but the flavour has become less because they're just being pumped.
Brexit is going to ruin us.
Okay. It hasn't happened yet.
No, but it's the doors will open to cheaper food coming in, and in this climate of financial crisis, all one-parent families, etc., will be buying that food in. If you're going to save 300 quid a year, you're going to save 300 quid a year. Raising land costs money.
Yeah.
And to be able to deal with it, in order to sustain that type of farming is going to cost money. There's expense in it. And they're not going to be able to compete with the cheaper food from the foreign meat sources coming into the country. So they will change the way they do their farming situation.
Cut corners.
They'll cut corners, and they're going to cut corners by feeding the animals on the same feed that is coming in from abroad. and that feed is contaminated with GM and it's not being checked by the EU. So it's substandard corn in there, it's substandard silage, do you understand? So what will happen, substandard maize, what will happen then is one way or another our meat's going to be contaminated and going to become GM because they're eating GM.
Well, people have a short memory. The BSE
Mad cow, I know he was going to say that. That was
15 years ago?
Yes, and it came from contaminated feed via China, via America, which came into Britain.
Right.
In fact, it was one of the major issues why the EU came up with the laws in 1990 something to change the food regulations. But if food cannot be, what do you call it? If food couldn't be answered to, so for example, if there was no, if you couldn't explain foods, the ingredients, etc., then it wasn't allowed into Europe. And they had strict laws about food coming in from China, etc. And that's why our food standard is very high here now. Not the highest in Europe, but it's one of the highest.
Because now
it's in the top 10.
Okay. Now people put 100% British beef as a good thing, or as an they want to promote the fact it's British. But I suppose, yeah. So we've recovered from BSE and we're doing much better now.
They do still feed them false. They still feed them. They top their food up with silage and different stuff, but as you can see, as you saw, essentially on the farm where I just took you to, you know, they do top up their food with maize, etc. But it's original stuff. It's not GM crops.